Faith and fame have always made uncomfortable bedfellows in the music industry. Artists who built their careers on gospel stages and church congregations were never supposed to conquer the mainstream. These 10 acts proved everyone wrong. Number 10. Stryper. Bibles flew through the air at every concert. The California Quartet made throwing scripture into the crowd their signature move, wearing black and yellow spandex while delivering a message most rock promoters thought would kill their career before it started. They named themselves after Isaiah 53:5, the verse about healing through suffering, and put it on every album sleeve. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Their 1986 album To Hell with the Devil went double platinum and produced the top 40 ballad Honestly, which reached number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1987. They sold albums across the globe, appeared on MTV regularly, and opened doors for Christian artists like Petra and later DC Talk to pursue mainstream ambitions, without abandoning their faith entirely.
Give me love, you give me company.
Number 9. Amy Grant.
Knowing how you made me laugh.
6 Grammy Awards, 30 million albums sold, a journey that began in a Nashville church basement and ended on the main stage of American pop music. She recorded her debut album at age 16 for Word Records, a strictly Christian label, performing exclusively for church audiences and youth groups throughout the late 1970s. By 1991, the crossover was complete. Hard in Motion debuted at number 10 on the Billboard 200 and produced Baby Baby, her first number 1 as a solo artist on the Billboard Hot 100. The Christian music community felt abandoned by the shift, but Grant remained committed to her faith publicly throughout the controversy. She had simply proven that a gospel-raised artist could compete directly with Madonna and Mariah Carey on pop radio without disguising where she came from.
Lead me on to a place where the river.
Number 8. U2.
Highest mountains I have run through the fields.
3 of the 4 members nearly quit the band over it. In 1981, Bono, The Edge, and Larry Mullen Jr. were deeply embedded in a charismatic Christian fellowship in Dublin called the Shalom Fellowship, which preached that rock music was incompatible with genuine faith. The internal conflict almost dissolved one of history's greatest bands before it reached its peak. They stayed. The Joshua Tree arrived in March 1987 and debuted at number 1 in over 20 countries, eventually selling over 25 million copies and winning the Grammy for Album of the Year. Earlier albums like October in 1981 contained openly devotional lyrics that confused secular audiences, but reflected the band's authentic spiritual lives. Over 170 million records sold worldwide later. Their faith-rooted origin story remains one of rock history's most remarkable foundations.
Nothing left to lose, and you gave yourself.
Number 7. DC Talk. Before number 7, we want to hear from you. Did you grow up listening to Christian radio, or did you discover these artists through mainstream channels first? Drop a comment below and let us know where you are watching from. They started performing Christian rap in hallways and cafeterias at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia in 1987, backed by nothing but a boombox and a conviction that hip-hop could carry a gospel message. The early years were strictly church events, youth camps, and Christian festivals, with zero mainstream radio interest in sight. Then 1995 happened. Jesus Freak, their 4th studio album, detonated across both Christian and mainstream markets simultaneously. It debuted at number 16 on the Billboard 200, eventually going double platinum, and won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Gospel Album. Rolling Stone and Spin both covered the release, introducing DC Talk to audiences who had never stepped inside a church. Michael Tate, Toby McKeon, and Kevin Max had crossed from the chapel into the Coliseum, and the Christian music industry would never be the same. Number 6. The Byrds. In the the summer of 1965, an ancient text from the Old Testament sat at #1 on the American pop charts for 3 weeks. Pete Seeger had adapted the words directly from the Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, and the Los Angeles folk rock group recorded it with 12-string Rickenbacker guitars and perfect 3-part harmonies. Turn, Turn, Turn spent those 3 weeks at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 in December 1965. Roger McGuinn, influenced by the Subbud spiritual movement and Christian mysticism throughout his career, helped shape a band whose reverence for sacred text felt entirely natural rather than calculated. The Byrds went on to sell millions of records, influence artists from Tom Petty to Rem, and pioneer the folk rock genre that dominated American radio through the late 60s. Their most enduring hit remained a scripture passage that had survived 3,000 years before it became a pop song.
I think I've got a lot more than just...
Number 5. Bob Dylan.
Call you doctor. They may call you chief, but you'll have to serve somebody.
The crowd booed. Night after night during the 1979 and 1980 gospel tours, Dylan refused to play Blowin' in the Wind, Mr. Tambourine Man, or any song from his celebrated back catalog. He had converted to Christianity through the Vineyard Fellowship in California and was not interested in nostalgia. He wanted to preach, and the audiences who paid for folk music got a sermon instead. Slow Train Coming, released in August 1979, reached number 3 on the Billboard 200 and won Dylan the Grammy for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance in 1980, co-produced by Jerry Wexler at Muscle Shoals Sound Studios. 2 follow-up albums, Saved and Shot of Love, completed the trilogy. The mainstream world was baffled. The Christian community was electrified. Dylan, already one of the most celebrated artists in history, simply did not care which side approved.
You say you never compromise with the mystery tramp, but now...
Number 4. Creed. Human Clay became one of the best-selling rock albums of the late 1990s, eventually certified 11 times platinum in 2004 by the Recording Industry Association of America. With Arms Wide Open reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2000, and frontman Scott Stapp accepted a Grammy Award while the debate about whether Creed was or was not a Christian band raged across every music forum and radio station in America. Stapp consistently said they were not a Christian band in interviews, yet acknowledged openly that his lyrics about redemption, suffering, and salvation came directly from his upbringing in a strict Christian household. The tension was the story. Christian bookstores stocked their albums. Secular rock stations played them in heavy rotation. By the time the band dissolved in 2004, they had sold over 50 million albums worldwide, occupying a space between faith and mainstream rock that no other act had claimed quite so successfully or so uncomfortably. Number 3. Sister Sledge.
We are family. Hey, I got all my sisters with me.
Their grandmother Viola Williams was a celebrated lyric soprano and opera singer who performed in churches throughout Philadelphia for decades and trained the sisters vocally. The Sledge family were devoted Christians who attended Williams Temple Christian, Methodist Episcopal Church, and that foundation of faith and family shaped the warmth that audiences responded to instantly when their music reached the radio in the late 1970s. We Are Family, written and produced by Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards of Chic, reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the summer of 1979 and became one of the defining anthems of the disco era. The sisters, Debbie, Joni, Kim, and Kathy, brought a wholesomeness to the dance floor that felt genuinely different from their contemporaries. The song has since been used at sporting events, political rallies, and cultural celebrations worldwide.
Lost in music. Caught in the trap.
Number 2. The Imperials.
Gonna take a trip in that good old gospel ship. Yes, I am.
4 Grammy Awards, across a career that stretched from backing Elvis Presley in the 1960s to shaping the entire contemporary Christian music format through the 1970s and 1980s. Few groups in American music history carry that kind of documented influence across multiple decades and genres. They started as a Southern gospel quartet founded by Jake Hess in late 1963 in Nashville, performing exclusively for church congregations and gospel conventions. Elvis Presley personally requested them as his backing vocalists for his sacred recordings, and they performed on How Great Thou Art in 1967, which won the Grammy for Best Sacred Performance. Their presence helped legitimize gospel music in the broader entertainment world. Artists including Amy Grant, DC Talk, and Michael W. Smith have all cited the Imperials as foundational to their understanding of how Christian music could be performed with professional excellence. Number 1. The Jackson 5.
Oh, baby, give me one more chance. Won't you please?
4 consecutive number 1 singles. That is what greeted the Jackson 5 upon their Motown debut, with I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There all reaching the top of the Billboard Hot 100 throughout 1970. It was one of the most extraordinary opening runs any act in pop history has ever achieved. The 5 brothers from Gary, Indiana, arrived fully formed, joyful, and impossibly talented. Their mother, Catherine, raised all 9 Jackson children as devoted Jehovah's Witnesses, a faith that shaped the family's discipline, their tight-knit family structure, and the values that kept them working together through enormous pressure. Michael Jackson, who began performing publicly at around age 5 or 6, carried those foundational values into a solo career that produced Thriller in 1982, still the best-selling album in recorded music history. A family built on faith inside a small Indiana house eventually produced the most commercially successful music artist who ever lived.